Hello, beautiful people. Happy Saturday, happy weekend, and happy full moon in Virgo. Welcome to your practical application of astrology and my personal story share. I am going to release my astrological forecast for next week tomorrow because today we are having a full moon in Virgo. So I thought it would be a little bit crazy to start adding up the layers before the illumination even ceased a little bit. So before I move any further, let me just name the three main aspects that took place this week, and that was the North Node Chiron conjunction, which happened exactly on Monday the 19th. Then we had the Venus-Mars conjunction, which took place exactly on the 22nd. Well, I guess depends where you are in the world. This is where it happened for me. And then today's Virgo full moon, and alongside that with that we are having the exact square between Venus in Aquarius and Jupiter in Taurus, and Jupiter, of course, being in Taurus, is ruled by Venus, so the ruler is squaring Jupiter. Anyway, so this is it for the astrology. Like I said, the astrological forecast for next week will be coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned. But what I really want to talk about is, well, what's been going on this week. I don't actually know exactly what's gonna come out, but I already have the channeled message ready, so I'm sure that some of that will be present in this conversation. But being in a Pisces season, and this of course being the last sign of the astrological year, and also this is the last full moon of this astrological year, because we only have the new moon in Pisces, and then the next one after that will be actually the lunar eclipse in Libra in Aries season. So we are wrapping up, and at the same time, as we can see, we have all these conjunctions, and as I mentioned many times before, conjunction always represents a ending of something, but at the same time a beginning of something new, because the cycle is ending and beginning. And this week, especially because we were leading up to this Virgo full moon, especially under the influence of Chiron North Node conjunction. And as we know, Chiron is the wounded healer, and Virgo is the healing archetype. Virgo and Pisces are the healing archetype. There is a lot of wounding, a lot of human experiences that now lost their meaning coming to the surface. There is also in our personal lives, I'm sure it's in other people's personal life, but definitely in mine too, things are showing up that need adjustment, that needs change, that are no longer supporting us, that are not longer working for us. A lot of those could be to do with other people, because of course we just experienced the Venus-Mars conjunction in Aquarius, even though this was not the first conjunction in Aquarius between the two of them, because they already had their last conjunction in 2022, March 2022, in the sign of Aquarius. However, this one is a very different flavor of this conjunction, because Mars and Venus just recently conjuncted Pluto in Aquarius, which started the new 20-year cycle of conjunctions between Mars and Pluto, and Venus and Pluto, but this is under influence of them being the rulers of the North and South Node. So this is very important to pay attention to, because of course South Node is what we're trying to resolve, because the South Node was squared by Pluto the entire 2023, and then of course we had all the other things squaring the South Node, squaring both nodes, but the resolution was the South Node, which is in Libra, which is currently, which is saying that, well, what we need to resolve is our approach to the other, and how we allow the external environment to impact our lives. And of course, with the North Node in Aries, and Mars is the ruler of the North Node, Mars at the conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius, and now just at a conjunction with the ruler of the South Node. I mean, this is all crazily connected. We are moving into uncharted territory. There is this brand new direction, this unknown world that we are building. We can see the full illumination of the world that we've created until this point, because it's out there, manifested, right? And from here we have the opportunity to discern and decide what it is that we want to take with us going forward, and what it is that we want to leave behind, or adjust, or update, right? Update, because it's the Aquarian flavor. So for me personally, as I was talking about last week, moaning about the weather, actually everything completely shifted last weekend. So the weather has been amazing, just perfect, exactly what it's supposed to be, meant to be, I guess you can say, even though there is nothing guaranteed these days here in Mexico for this time of the year. And as you might have noticed, there have been all these collaborations coming up this week. So it was a very, very busy week. And alongside with all of that was happening, there was an opportunity to observe and decide with this Virgo full moon, because Virgo full moon is very practical and it's all about discernment, it's learning, adjusting. I always say that my understanding of Virgo is especially from the point of hero's journey archetype, which is about us learning, adjusting, growing, continuously making changes, because the more information we gather as we go through our hero's journey or fool's journey, if you are very into tarot, then we have the opportunity to gain experiences and apply those into the next experiences, and also gather tools that are then supporting us on our journey and allow us to grow and evolve, right? So for me personally, like I said, there's been few adjustments taking place. Like one of those was that I definitely try to make my schedule much less busy, which of course then there is this fight with the ego, like, oh, you're not working enough, you're not going to generate enough income and all these kind of things. But on the other side of it, as I had the opportunity to test and try in my life, every time that just I listen to the guidance of my heart and my intuition and make adjustments based on that and just go with the flow of the guidance that I'm receiving, things always work out, and they always work out better than to what they were before and what I could have expect, or what my ego was trying to control, that, oh no, it has to be this way, this is the way it has to be, and if it's not this way, then it's not right, and and then there is the unknown, so we don't know what result is going to come up from doing something different, right? And alongside with that is also this curse of perfection which is also the Virgo. It's in its lower vibration, in a less mature vibration, is this desire for perfection, and everything has to be just so, because of course Virgo and Scorpio, they sextile one another, and Scorpio wants to control because it wants to keep itself safe. Like, yeah, I want to attach, but there needs to be the guarantee that the investment is paying off, right? So in my experience, and also the experiences I've been gaining thanks to, once again, my client and my external environment, I was able to come to certain understandings, certain inner standings. And it's so interesting to me because technically and practically, we all just want the same thing. I mean, yes, the nuances and the details of that are different, because that's what makes us unique and what make each our journeys unique tapestry of life. But in essence, we are not that different. A lot of us want very similar things, and a lot of us are unfortunately being conditioned and stuck in that cage of the same belief systems. In many cases, same belief systems, same projections. Doesn't even matter which culture and religion you come from, which background, or if any, but there usually always is this, like, a certain similarity in that narrative, and most of those is making us feel we're not adequate, we are inadequate, we are not perfect, we don't deserve, or we need to work hard, or we need to try harder, or there are all these like rules and conditions and all these stories, which of course today with the Venus in Aquarius square to Jupiter, and Venus is in Aquarius, therefore she wants to go beyond, and she wants to individuate, she wants to free herself from everything that came before Capricorn. And like I was talking previously in my videos, Jupiter in Taurus can be very fixated on what is the truth, what is the way, what is the right way of doing things. And also important to notice that Mercury, as the ruler of this full moon, it's in its closing phase conjunction with both Sun and Saturn. They're going to have the exact conjunction next week, which is what I'm going to be covering in my astrological forecast. But it's in a closing phase conjunction, and it's in Pisces as of yesterday. Mercury moved into Pisces yesterday on Friday the 23rd. and it's actually opposing this moon, which is saying that since it's conjunction with Pluto, the first one in the sign of Aquarius for the upcoming 20 years, we need to start thinking differently. We need to open our mind to a multidimensional perspective of understanding reality, and also to going beyond everything we've been ever told before, and how we identified reality before, because it's now became limiting. It's like became limited, and it doesn't allow us to grow and go any further on this trajectory. We literally maxed out, and this is the word that's been coming up for me a lot in my last few readings with my clients. The word maxed out. It's maxed out. We maxed it out. That's it. We're not gonna get any more out of that experience. So with Mercury as the ruler of this Virgo full moon being in a closing phase conjunction to Sun and Saturn, it's definitely pointing to us that there is something we need to release when it comes to the way we identify reality, the way we think in communicating, because it lost meaning, because it's part of the old structure, because Saturn is in the sign of Pisces, and Saturn is in its closing phase conjunction with Neptune. Even though the degree is wide, they are not quite within the orb conjunction, but they are in the same sign, and they are going to have a conjunction, I believe not until they both in Aries, but still, So what is this showing us? And I mean, I can again only say for myself, but also from the experiences that I was able to observe through my clients and my friends, there is definitely a lot of narrative coming up to the surface. A lot of that is connected to this perfection. What is the story? What is the thing we are being fed, that we feel that if we are not living life according to this story, according to this narrative, then something wrong with us, that we're not perfect, that we failed in something, and we are not accomplishing something which is desired. But is that actually the truth? Because as we know, Uranus is in Taurus, Jupiter is in Taurus. What is important to you? What is your value? What matters to you? What is the reflection of your worth? And it actually doesn't have anything to do with other people. These other people are just mirroring back to us what is already inside of us. They are just helping us to see that, and then we can decide, okay, do I want this or do I not want this? Like, oh, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to see this, to have it mirrored and reflected back to me. Or in some cases being projected onto, and that is our opportunity to set the boundaries, because of course Virgo and Capricorn, they trine each other, and we know that we are in the year very strongly influenced by Saturn, and also Capricorn, because we have the 4 lunations in Capricorn, which is all about you becoming your own authority, you redefining your life, you consciously creating that which you want to experience. And it's to do with Jupiter, because Sagittarius comes before Capricorn. So I mentioned this many times already, that which you believe creates the reality you are experiencing. That's why the Sagittarius archetypes comes prior to Capricorn, because the belief, the perception of the reality absolutely influence the reality you are experiencing. Because when we change our perception, when we accumulate information, discern, and then decide that, okay, this is valuable to me, this works for me, that's the trine between Virgo and Taurus, then that creates a completely new perspective, perception. Like when we've done a course, or we went to a retreat or webinar or something, and suddenly our perception of reality shifts, and therefore our experience of the reality changes too. So this is where I feel we are at, because of Saturn and Mercury both playing such an important role of this full moon in Virgo. And like I said, with Virgo, there is always this underlying frequency for perfection. That is it perfect? Is it just so? Is it right? Many people, like even when we doing courses or when we attending webinars and stuff, people are concerned that, am I getting this right? Did I get this right? Did I learn it right? Did I apply it right? Do I understand it right? But what is right? There is different right for everyone. And this is where I even feel that many times, and this was my personal experience, when we, for example, start some course, or we buy a course and we start doing some course, or even like for people going to college and then they drop out. And then there is this sense, and I already covered this topic, there is this sense of failure, that I didn't finish it, I didn't complete it, something wrong with me, I'm lazy, or I'm whatever, I wasted money, whatever is the story, whatever is the narrative again, where actually maybe you gain exactly what you needed to gain from that course. Perhaps you had to go through the entire course just to come to that one module. And that's actually something which I experienced personally, because I purchased a course recently that is actually all the way back from 2020. It's not a recent course. And yesterday I came across exactly the module, which was literally why I felt my soul was leading me to this course. I was attracted to buy this particular webinar, this course. It was very short course, and there were 5 modules. And yesterday I got to module 4, and that's when things clicked for me. Because prior to that, I was like, I already know this, I already understand it, and not from an egocentrical point of view, but I was like, okay, yeah, this is a confirmation, validation of something that is already known to me. And then when I got yesterday to this module number 4, things just completely clicked. And it's interesting because it actually was being mentioned in that course itself that, oh, well, you maybe didn't realize, but, this is what was it all about, this module. This is what represents the caveat, I guess, of this teaching, right? And that's exactly what it is. So taking it back to Virgo and this analogy about coursework, colleges or whatever kind of things, that because everything is learning, this is a school of life. The entire human experience is a school of life. So everything or everyone you are attracted to in your reality, and I'll get to the relationship factor of this in a moment, it's for us to learn something. So this is what I mean. Many times we beat ourselves up because Virgo, we were being told, well, you better finish it. And I know it starts very early on. I obviously don't know how it was for other people, but my parents were that kind of parents where they said, if you don't finish what's on your plate, you're not allowed to stand up from the table. We don't waste food in this house or whatever. So there was again this, you have to push your boundaries to the point where it's maybe not comfortable for you because perhaps you didn't want to eat no more, and then I know a lot of people, have the problem with food and eating, and there are a lot of things that come from that kind of conditioning, where we are not allowed to trust our own guidance and go like, well, maybe I have enough, maybe I don't need no more. So this is the same for coursework, this is the same for relationship, this is the same for job, could be even the same for career path, because I know this also could be case for people where they climb even up the career ladder, and maybe just before they at the top they decide, well, it's not what I want anymore. I actually had the experience I needed to have, I learned what I needed to have, what I needed to learn, and I don't need to get to the top, I don't need to achieve that final result, I don't need to finish this course, I don't need to get the degree, because I had exactly the experience I needed to have. Maybe there was, like I said, just that one module that you actually needed to attend that journey to get to that module, to get to that one thing that will give you the piece of puzzle that you were seeking to, or the key that will open the new door for you. But you don't need to finish. And this is, like I said, where this Virgo factor comes in, where we'll need to discern, like, okay, well, why is this? Why is this so important to my hero's journey? And then because Virgo Pisces, as we know, come in opposition, so they come as a pair, to use to use the lens of the higher meaning, that okay, there was a meaning in that, it wasn't a waste of time, it wasn't a waste of money, because this is exactly what you needed to learn, what you needed to gain, what you needed to experience to understand the meaning, to be able to maybe close some doors of the past so the new one can open. So again, I don't know if I'm explaining this energy, because I can see it, I can see the energy, but to put it into words, it literally is about the Virgo archetype adjustments. So we have the opportunity now with this full moon and Virgo, and it's again so vast because there are so many layers, and I already covered the Virgo full moon in 3 videos, so I don't want to go into the technicalities and analyzing of the charts and stuff like that and all the rest of it. But it is not about perfection. It is not about final destination. It's not about achievement. It is about self-mastery of your own path. But what that looks like for you, what that means to you, what is the detail of that, it's unique to you. because this is the perfection, and this is exactly what just came through in the message that I just wrote, that this is the perfection of it. It's not about perfection that is being decided by the society or some agreed standards or definitions or whatever that say this is the perfection, like looking this way, earning this much, living in this place, for the house to look like this, to have a car that is this brand or this make or this year of manufacturing or whatever. There are all these things that are actually that they are unfulfilling. In their depth, they are unfulfilling. They don't have the same meaning which we describe them to, because again, this is the story, this is what we were being told. And this is again something that's been coming up for me and for my clients, that many of us were being given this story, like, well, if you achieve all these things in your life, I don't know, you get married at this age, you have this 2.5 kids you're supposed to have, and have your house and have your 2 cars and have this much money that you getting paid every year, and all this pension plan and insurance, and I don't know, vacation 2-3 times a year, one to ski, one to see the ocean. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what is the story, because I never bought into it. So that's why I'm struggling to name all these things for you, because it was not my story, and I didn't care. But a lot of us do. A lot of us are being conditioned, and we feel, if I didn't achieve this, and this is again something that I can share, that I like, or I think I already shared, that I experience in my life. Every time I go back home to my parents to stay with them, and I'm going to be 39 in April, so in their eyes I'm middle-aged. This is how they see me, that I'm middle-aged. This is their perception of me and my life, and in their eyes, as based on their value and how they see the perfection of life, which is not something they experience in, because, and I guess that's why they think that's perfect, because they don't experience in it. So it's like this illusion, is this fata morgana, this oasis, this thing that is actually not even real. So they think, because I am this age and I'm at this stage in my life, as I've been sharing, I'm a digital nomad. I don't have a permanent address. I am single at the moment, so I don't have a relationship. I've never been married. I never had children. I never had a fat bank account full of savings. From the career point of view, I've done enough jobs to cover 2 pages of a CV, because I could never stay anywhere for long, because I just can't handle somebody being my boss. Because I challenge authority on every step, because I have 5 planets in retrograde, and one of them is Saturn, of course. So yeah, so in their eyes, I completely failed as a human being, from their perception of reality, from their Virgo point of view of what that means, what perfect life means. I completely failed. I'm a completely useless human being. I didn't achieve anything, because I'm almost 40, which is classed as middle age. And even the story of like, oh, you'll be lucky to get married one day, because this is so funny, and I really have to share it. So from my parents' perspective, men that would be interested in me obviously must be old, because no young man, young men wouldn't be interested in me because of my age. But men of my age are already either married, or if they already were married and are divorced, they're gonna marry someone 20 years younger, someone in their 20s or late 20s or whatever. And then the men that are older, then they obviously will also want the younger girl or whatever, whatever is the story. But technically, because I'm middle-aged woman, never married, I'm doomed. This is the theory of the spinster. And it's so interesting. I'm talking about it, and I was like, why am I supposed to be talking about it? It's the Virgo, right? It's the Virgo, the Virgin Mary, the perfection. What is the perfect woman meant to be? What is she supposed to look like? Which, of course, as we know, that changed over the century. The way women looked, the way women act. Like they say that it's supposed to be the mother in the daylight, and the something else at night, right? And all these kind of stories. They are all stories, right? So now I understand why Spirit wants me to talk about it, because I'm like, why would anybody care what my parents think about my, singledom on my life or anything? But I guess it's relevant. So anyway, this is the Virgo, right? This is the perfection, the Virgin Mary, the perfection of what woman should be, what she should achieve, which is again this, and I think I already talked about this as well, these societal expectations on women that we're supposed to do it all, we're supposed to have it all, which is not possible because you have only 100% of the time available, and now with the time speeding up, it seems like it's even less of that, right? So how do we use our time? And this is going into different rabbit holes, so I don't want to engage too much in this topic, but yeah, this is what I mean. What is expected of us to be perfect? Perfect as a woman, even perfect as a man, which is very hard because men don't even know where the hell they fit in this world, just the same as us. It's just all been dismantled, which I guess, yeah, it's a reset button for everyone, you know, the way things were are not working anymore, and the way things are right now are not working really. So we need to find out, well, something different will be working, when we need to figure out what that is, you know, and we need to be creative in order to get to that point. But anyway, going back to this you know, this hero's journey that is being projected onto us by someone else, you know, this external authority, or this anyone else, you know, whether it's your parents, whether it's your community, your religion, your culture, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, you know. It's the South Node in Libra, the other that said that, oh well, this is how we live life, right? But now Venus is in Aquarius, and it's square in Jupiter, and Jupiter is the storyteller, the story of our lives, you know, the history, his story, you know, the story of the people that came before, that we are comparing ourselves to, or we're trying to upmanship, you know, upmanship those stories. So there is the constant competitiveness, right? Where actually, you know, this Virgo full moon is saying, well, look at your life, and look at the world, and look at everything that is there in manifestation, because this is the outcome of that. This is the manifestation of living life based on this story, and living life based on these values, on this desire for perfection that doesn't exist. Because perfection, again, Virgo is mutable sign, right? Just the same as I keep saying about the belief system with Sagittarius and Mercury. These are all mutable signs. So they say, well, this is unique to everyone. Like even now, you go to different countries, different cultures, and they perceive perfection differently. They perceive what women should be doing, men should be doing, and what is the perfect way of being that way. That is all different, right? That's what makes, I mean, world so beautiful. The problem is that when people as individuals feel like, well, this is not in resonance with who I am, this doesn't feel right for me, and then we try to become that because we want to fit in, because, you know, Libra, we want the connection, and also we want to be perfect because we were being told off when we weren't, when we went to school and stuff, and you didn't draw that letter perfectly, you were being told off, or you know, like all this marking system that we have going on at school at the moment, the schooling system, which is about we were being graded all our life, literally. This is, I guess, this is where we get in. All our lives, every single one of us, we were being like graded, right? Like there are like all these like scores, right? Like we are being scored, and I know a lot of women are familiar that, oh, men keep scores, you know, like at least this is what, you know, I was being told. This is the story that I bought into, that, oh yeah, if you walk on a street and men are looking, they are scoring you, they're giving you scores, like, oh yeah, she gets this much out of 10, or the same for women to men, right? We scoring, right? This is why you have these stupid apps like Tinder and stuff, where you just like swiping, right? And you know, like, I mean, I was guilty of that. I did that like million years ago, but for very short time, never met anybody there, of course, but yeah, it's kind of, it's against the same thing. We just scoring, like we just becoming like a judge of another human, like it's a inanimate object. We were being objectified, all of us. So then we just scoring and adding score, and this is again the Virgo. It's not tall enough, it's not skinny enough, it's not pretty enough, it's not this, it's not that, right? There is all these scores, and it's again this Virgo in a low vibration. And now we have a full moon in Virgo with Mercury, the ruler, in Pisces, in a closing phase to Sun and Saturn. Sun is the illumination of everything there is and everything there was, because it's in Pisces, right? Pisces is the totality of totality, is the source, right? And Mercury, as the perception of reality, is in a closing phase in Pisces. Is saying this way of identifying reality it's not working anymore. This scoring, this opposition to Virgo moon, and Mercury being the ruler, and Virgo is all about this, on the lower vibration, wanted to be perfect, wanted to hit all the scores, wanted to get the accolades, like, I achieved, like I made it as a human, everybody likes me, or I got the Oscar, or I am the Miss of the World, or whatever, all these accolades, all this external validation. Oh, it's 11:11. Isn't that perfect? And my phone just flashed 11:11. Okay, angels are confirming. So it's all this external validation, and this is where the disempowerment comes from. This is where the people pleasing comes from, because if we don't get that, we feel that there is something wrong with us, that we are not good enough, that we failed. We failed because we are not being graded in the highest degree, right? The Virgo, the perfection, that I didn't achieve the top. I only got B. I didn't get A or A plus or whatever it is. It makes us feel bad. This is what gets, literally, this is Mercury program. This is what gets programmed into us from literally almost birth, straight away, even though we don't even understand. Already as a baby, you are being classed, you are being judged. Oh, look at that baby, it's cute. Oh, look at that baby, it's ugly. Or whatever it is. Already as a babies, we are being scored. We are being fucking excuse me. We are being scored already as a baby that we are lacking. We are lacking something. Of course, for the mother, the baby is perfect, and it's always going to be perfect. But for the rest of the world, we are being scored. And this is what I really feel is the main essence. And I mean, of course, there are a million other layers, which I already dived into in my free conversation about Virgo full moon previously. But this is what I mean. It's all about our entire life, for majority of us, is based on these scores, on these expectations. Do I look certain way? Do I have what I'm supposed to have? Did I achieve what I'm supposed to achieve? And then we, of course, chase against the time, like, oh my God, like, look at my age. Have I achieved enough? And then we beat ourselves up about it, and we comparing ourselves to others. And of course, there is always someone who did better than us. And then, of course, there will be someone who did worse than us. And then that makes us feel better, or that makes us feel like a victim if we didn't. Or then we say like, oh, well, we didn't have the same, or whatever the story. Like, we can go just into a million different stories with regards to why that is or isn't. And Mercury is the information, is the program, right? And Jupiter and Venus are squaring one another today. Today, they're squaring one another exactly on the time of this full moon, which is saying, well, there's something wrong with this story. Venus is in the closing phase now. It's saying that, well, we need to release something. We need to individuate, because... And this is what I always say, what always comes to me. You didn't come here to live someone else's life. It doesn't matter who that someone else is. You didn't come here to live someone else's life. All these people in your life that you like or don't like, try to impress or don't care about impressing, they are just here as teachers. They are here to feel your experience. It literally is like, the story of your life. You are the main star. You are the center stage of your life, because it's your life, it's your story, and that's the same for every single person. Everybody else in your life plays the side roles. Nobody is the main star of your life. That's you. If you put someone on that position, then something wrong, right? Because you cannot really impact other people in that way that, again, I don't know how to explain it, but the only person that you can change and adjust and all this is you, like we cannot really, we can create a space or be motivating to other people or inspiring to other people, or be used as a something that other people learn from, because this is not what I want, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But the main star of your life is you. Everybody else is the supporting actor, right? So you didn't come here to live your life based on the supporting actor's needs. You came here to decide, who am I? What did I come here to experience? What am I learning? What do I want? What do I like? What do I don't like? The problem is that this is not what we were being taught. when we were growing up, because there were all these scores, there were all these expectations, there was all this, what is the perfection, what is the definition of it, all this external stuff, and everybody was buying into the same thing, which is like, then we just kept passing it on to one another, because this is what we all bought into, like not every single person, but most people. And this is what then created this criticism and judgment, because if we felt lucky and if we were judging ourselves, then we would criticize and judge another. And this is where it all goes, right? This Virgo on a low vibration is not perfect. It's not just so. It should be like this. It should be like that, And then there is the suffering, because then if we are in resistance, if what is, then we cannot change it, right? Then it creates suffering. That it shouldn't be like this. And this like goes from a small examples that are kind of mundane and insignificant, to something that is huge, that is something that is going on in the world, which we look at and say, well, this is not perfect, and we judging it, and and we say it shouldn't exist and stuff like that, and why is it? And well, why is it? Because there are all these people that decided that this is what perfect look like, this is what perfect seems like, and they going into great lengths to achieve that their version of perfection, that story. But Venus in Aquarius, it's saying about individuation. Perfection is unique to you, because you are imperfectly perfect, because you are you, and that's exactly what you came here to be, because you are a unique expression of the source. So with this illumination of everything, and this is what I mean, this is what's been showing up in my life, there are opportunities to observe old patterns, like people coming into my life I haven't heard from 6 months, and I'm like, okay, now, do I want to fall into the same pattern with this person? And, like even where perhaps there were dynamics I didn't enjoy and didn't appreciate or didn't like or didn't feel very respectful towards me, or what do I want to do with this, and this is where we have to put our Capricorn hat on and take responsibility and change things, because Virgo and Capricorn trine one another. The way to self-mastery and feeling that I'm the CEO of my life is through trial and error, and it's through being brave and courageous enough to be prepared to fail. Because what is the worst thing that's going to happen? I mean, I don't know anyone, at least I have never met person that never failed at anything, that never done anything wrong, that never made a mistake, because that's what made us human. This is what helps us to learn. Like, we say like, oh, well, smart people learn from other people's mistake, but then it's not the same experience, is it? You will not remember it same way. We remember, like, especially if we keep repeating the same patterns that are becoming very, toxic, dysfunctional, uncomfortable, then I guess we need to have that experience. We need to feel the totality of that discomfort to then make a different choice and have a new experience, different experience, and then we will appreciate it so much more, and we appreciate the learning. Whereas if you learn from other people's mistake, we don't know. It wasn't our experience, it's all just a theory, right? Which in some cases, that's enough. But in some cases, no. In some cases, the soul needs to go through the experience, which is, again, like I was saying in last video, which might have triggered people, where I say everything that's happening is perfect. Because how do we know what the other soul chose to grow through? We don't know. We only know our own path, because we know how that feels. So that's why we cannot know what is the perfect thing for someone else. Because anyway, perfection doesn't exist, but we might think, I know exactly what's the right thing for you, but you can't really know. You can make a suggestion, and if that resonates with that person, they can try it in their own way and then apply it, to their ability and to what is in resonance with them and what they need. But we can't ever know what is the right thing for someone else. We can only try to figure out and try and test what is the right thing for us, but it's never gonna be perfect, because also nothing lasts forever. Even the things that felt like perfect, like, and this is again a good example. When you meet the guy that you fall in love with, he's perfect. Like, we don't see anything wrong with the person. We don't notice these things that later on annoy us, or we think they're quirky and they're funny. And I experienced this so many times for myself, and also being the object of that person's perfection, or seeking of a perfection and then falling off the pedestal. It happens all the time. So, that which we once thought was perfect, or when you buy that sweatshirt and it's perfect, or those high heels, they're perfect, or, that haircut that you have on the first day, when you have it, it looks perfect. It doesn't stay like that. It never stays like that, because nothing lasts forever, because Virgo is a mutual sign. Our definition of perfection changes all the time. And this is what I said at the beginning. Even the way that women were supposed to look and act, men were supposed to look and act, 100 years ago it was very different thing. 500 years ago it was very different things. 100 years from now it will be a very different thing. It continuously changes. So this is why, with all this mutable energy we have going on at the moment, I mean, still Mars and Venus are in Aquarius, which is still about going beyond innovation, but Sun and Mercury are already in Pisces. Saturn and Neptune are in Pisces. They have been in Pisces. Saturn is going to be in Pisces 2026, so will Neptune's been there since 2012, so for much longer than Saturn. And at the same time, Moon is in Virgo. I mean, it is in Virgo still. We will end the week with Moon in Virgo. It will not move into Libra until Monday. So we will be having Moon in Virgo the entire weekend, having the opportunity for integration of this energy, which is why we have no new major aspects taking place tomorrow, because we have the opportunity for integration of this energy. What does this mean? This seeking of a perfection, this keeping up the scores, that for many of us, this is where most people feel trapped. And my good friend Marissa from Growing the Flow, this is one of the cards that she pulled for this week, for the week ahead energy. She does these things. You can check it out on her socials, and also she has Marco Polo where she pulls this card. One of the cards she pulls was this Eight of Swords, which is this, like, like being in this prison of your own making, when we feel like, oh my God, that's it, like I can't get out of here. Like majority of people are in a prison of their own making. Why? Because of all these beliefs, because of all these thoughts, because of all these things we bought into, this keeping up the scores, this keeping up with the Jonases. Like, when a small child is born, and I know we start very early on with this, like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the kid, of course, wants to give you the right answer because it wants the validation. So we say, oh, I just want to be like my mommy, or like my daddy, or like my teacher, or, like all these kind of things. They want to be like someone else because, we learn through copying the people we admire, right? It's the same for everyone. Until we find our own individuation, our own streak, we see our own sun. So that's why we project it onto someone else, like, hey, see me, validate me. And it's someone that we put on pedestal. And then, of course, the fall of the guru, they fall off the pedestal. And then we need to embody that energy. Or once we embody that energy, then we start seeing that, well, you also just ordinary, you also just imperfect, like me, like every single one of us, which is, again, another rabbit hole. When we, all these gossip magazines, all these cheap magazines that are showing you celebrities in not their best, right? Because it's it's this falling off pedestal, like, oh, you've seen that celebrity in a designer gown on a red carpet looking all skinny and beautiful. Well, look at her now on her vacation, right? And then we judge and criticize, and it makes us feel better. But does it really make us feel better? Because, I mean, we all trying to live up to some impossible standards, some impossible expectations that don't even make anybody happy. I mean, even these people, if you imagine all these people that in our eyes have it all, this, I don't know, like, and this is, I guess, why people are finding so much, in a sense, joy when they see that, oh yeah, even people like Angelina Jolie, had this breakup in her relationship, or these people have, I don't know, drinking problems or drug use problems, or they have eating disorders or whatever. It makes us feel more human. But at the end of the day, like, we all are trapped in the same thing, in the same story, which is this perfection. First we put these people on pedestal and we try to be them, have the same haircut as Marilyn Monroe or whatever, and then we take them off pedestal and then we judge them. It's all this Virgo, right? It's all this Virgo, perfection, and then fall off the pedestal, and then judgment and criticism, because this is what we see in ourselves, right? This is what we were projected into, because when we were little and we did something wrong, we got criticized, and they said, well, this is how it has to be. This is the perfection. This is the just so. And then we were afraid to be authentic and authentically expressed ourselves because it wasn't perfect, because it wasn't just like that person, or I didn't look like that person. So now I should feel ashamed because I am not able to look like that. I am never going to be skinny mini ballerina. It's just not what's possible for me, you know, for example. And it's all, you know, like having beautiful curly thick hair, that is not going to happen for me, you know, and that's just how it is, you know. So I can either go and be upset about it for the rest of my life and feel inferior, or decide that, okay, well, I have different traits, you know, there is something else I can offer to the collective for their healing experience, which is like, okay, well, you know, having beautiful hair and being skinny and you know, having beautiful lips and whatever else the society say we should have. How is this supporting other people in being happy? How is this making the world a better place? Of course, if, you know, like we see a beautiful painting or something and we see, oh, I find the joy by looking at this, right? But if we use that beautiful painting that go, oh, I cannot paint something like this, or oh, I will never look like that person on the photograph, then yeah, then we using the Virgo in this, you know, how do we use these things is up to us. This is why there is all this mutability, this mutable energy. But again, going in, like, you know, you can see this multidimensional, like I just go into million different direction now, but start trying to go back to the, what we're talking about this illumination of the full moon in Virgo. It's saying, okay, there are these new cycles that just began with regards to Pluto and personal planet. In this case, ruler of the North Node and a South Node. Also, the ruler of the South Node just had a conjunction literally 2 days ago on the 22nd. New cycles to do with Aquarius. What is Aquarius? Aquarius is about equality. It's about freedom. It's about liberation. It's about sovereignty. It also is about trauma, because Aquarius is this thing which we couldn't process, so they get frozen in time. So observe what has been triggered for you this week with this full moon in Virgo, because there is an opportunity for healing that. So is it that I saw someone that, oh my God, I haven't seen this person for 20 years. Look how amazing they look, or look how much they achieved, or comparisitis, right? This comparison, again, Virgo, right? But this Virgo, this new way of looking at Virgo is not about this. This is what we were being told to believe, because this is what made us feel victimized and stuck and martyrdom and all this hopelessness and helplessness, and nothing has a meaning and sense because I'll never be perfect. Because this is the Pisces age. This is the old way. This is the old way. This God is perfect, and if you are a sinner and you will never go to heaven, and you know, or whatever other religion you were subscribed to, you know, like I was brought up Catholic, so this is what I was being drummed into my head. But you know, me being me, I was shooting the holes through the, you know, through the Bible, saying like, well, this is kind of contradicting itself, isn't it? You know, so I was like, okay, well, I don't quite believe in all this story, right? Again, you know, there is no judgment, criticism, there is no comparison if you do, you know. For me it didn't resonate, okay, because I found a lot of holes in this way of teachings, because there was a lot of stuff that was contradicting each other. Anyway, going away from religion, because this is obviously an explosive topic, going back to this Virgo, right? Because that's what we're talking about, that's where we at, and this is the experience which I'm sure many people had this week, where they were faced with something that reminded them something of the past conditioning, that made us feel, oh, this is where I'm lacking, this is where I'm not perfect, this is where I'm not achieving the top notch, whatever that is, you know, this perfection, right? The perfection is not the perfection, right? And there are other aspects of it, again, million rabbit holes we could go digging into, but very likely there was something that got, because Virgo energy, we all feel Virgo energy very practically, because it's a practical sign, it's an earth sign, it brings it back down to earth. So what has been triggered for you this week that reminded you of something that comes from long time ago, maybe when you were that little girl and you didn't tidy up your bed, and they said you weren't good, you were messy, or you were lazy, or whatever it is. And now every time I put my feet up, I think like, oh, am I being lazy? Maybe I should go and wash dishes, or I should go and do dusting, or like idle hands and all that, right? So what is it that perhaps this week got illuminated to you, which made you feel that you were lacking something, or you were not perfect, or you didn't achieve what you wanted to, or you don't have just quite as much money as you want, or your husband is not Brad Pitt, or whatever it is, you know, whatever it is that we failed the expectations of the narrative that we were all being projected onto and subscribed to, and now it makes us feel, okay, well, my life sucks, right? Does it? So now with all this other energy we've got going on, with these Pisces on the other side of it, is say, well, does this hold meaning? Does it actually make you happy? Because look at all these people that achieved all that. All these beautiful women, the models, the actresses that are gorgeous. They have all these beautiful men, on their dating list. They have all these villas. They have all this money. They have all this recognition and rich and fame and validation and stuff. And it's not about judgment. It's not about, well, it was easy for them or easy for them to say or whatever. It's not about that. It's about the example. They are teachers too. They are our teachers too, because their soul decided, okay, I'm going to be the one. Of course, I'm going to have some fun playing this role, but I'm going to be the one to show people where nothing is just black and white, It's not about, look at all of them being rich, famous, beautiful, wealthy, all of that, abundant, having all the connections. Look at how many of them are happy. And if they are, it's not because of all these things. It's because they found something within them that is making them happy, because most of these people, and I know a lot of people who became famous, actually confirmed that if you don't have that equilibrium, the trust in yourself, and you don't love yourself, that this world of this rich and fame, it's going to tear you apart. It's going to show you everything that's wrong with you, because you are right there in the limelight, in the pedestal. So going back to how this applies to this Virgo topic is the polarity. You can see this is the so-called perfection of the human understanding. They have it all. Why they are not happy? Why so many of them are on antidepressants? Why so of them so-called overdose, which again is questionable whether that's the case or not. Again, another rabbit hole. But why is that? Why so many of them are divorced? Why so many of them are cheated on? And they walk in perfection, right? Same for men. This is not just like women are the only victims or anything. It's the same for everyone, because we were all being fed the same story. So somebody has to go and question that narrative, question that story, because look, here you got the living examples, the living manifestation of embodying that story, and it's not true. It's actually not true. And then we make ourselves feel better that, oh, well, look, even they make mistake. Well, so they do. So like everybody else, makes them human, because they're trying to figure it out too, just like all of us. So what is perfection for you? And is that actually something that holds a meaning? Or is it just this thing we chasing towards that we never gonna achieve? So it just keeps us in this constant state of in the future. When I'm this size, when I have this much money, when I have this kind of relationship, I'll be happy. It's always in the future. It's never here. And it's never going to be perfect, because when you have that things, then you're already thinking about losing it, or you're maybe thinking like, oh, it wasn't what I thought or whatever it is, because this is a human nature at the moment. The ego always wants more. It's never happy. It's like every time, like I can again share from my experience, every time I order some new thing, whether it's a new deck of cards, whether it's a new crystal or something, once it's arrived, I'm on to a next thing. I'm like, oh yeah, it's beautiful, and now what else can I buy, right? And this is the world we live in. So with Mercury being the ruler in a closing phase, in Pisces, closing phase to Sun and Saturn, it's saying, well, let's look at how much meaning this still holds for us in this life, and what adjustments we can make to change it, because this is not the world we're heading towards. This is not the world we're going to be experiencing, because Aquarius is not about this. Aquarius is not about comparing and judgment and criticism. It's the 11th sign of the zodiac. It has the 10 signs that came before within itself, and I'm going beyond any of this. And then, of course, after that is just Pisces, which is returning back to the source, completion of the cycle, understanding everything. So Aquarius is the ultimate liberation. Is liberation from everything that came before, and Mercury now having this new cycle started between itself and Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, now being in Pisces and playing such an important role during this lunation, being the ruler. It's saying, well, we need to discern, does this still hold meaning, and what are we actually chasing after? Because and this is the question when I keep asking almost in every video, how many people actually are happy? Whether they have all these things or they don't. How many people are actually happy, right? Why even rich people get ill? Why even royal family gets cancer? Well, because there is something that is suppressed. And you can again go into conspiracy theories why there could be karma and all the rest of it. But let's just look at it from the energetical point of view. Physical disease is a manifestation of energetical and spiritual imbalance, right? Because we have multiple bodies, right? We are not just this physical, there are multiple things going on there. So physical manifestation of disease is a manifestation of something that's been out of balance, that's been going on, like dis-ease, right? We are not in ease for a long time. So why does this take place? Well, because there is something that the person had to suppress, that wasn't being a need that wasn't being met, right? And nobody's spared of that, because this is the one of the truth, like this is what works for everyone, this universal truth, cause and effect, right? So we can see this. So now if you look at the microcosm, the manifestation of everything we are experiencing at the moment, that is a manifestation of the old choices, belief systems, needs and values and stuff, we can see what doesn't work, and then we can discern, make choice, and allow the energy that doesn't resonate and doesn't hold a meaning to go with love and peace and compassion. And again, this is where we have to apply the spiritual aspect of Pisces, which is about forgiveness and seeing things with compassion. Because if we understand that everything that exists has a purpose and a meaning, because otherwise it wouldn't be here, we also have to have a compassion and forgiveness for that being so, for that existing, because it's here to teach us something, just the same way as these celebrities are teaching us something, these politicians are teaching us something, everybody is teaching us something. Your best friend is teaching you something, your husband is teaching you something, your mom and dad are teaching you something, because we are all here to learn from one another, because this is the school of life, this is how we grow and evolve. And this is once again a very vast multidimensional subject. We can go into a million different rabbit holes and look at it from a million different angles and perspectives. So how has this showed up for you this week? With this energy of Virgo, for sure, I can guarantee there was a physical, practical manifestation of this energy, where this showed up for you in some way that reminded you of something that is unhealed from the past, that creates this sense of lack, judgment, imperfection, criticism towards yourself and another. What is it? Where did it come from? And does it still hold a meaning? Is it actually something? Because in many cases we strive towards something that we think that will make us happy, but is it? And like I keep saying, like I know that this is something that's been coming up a lot through a lot of other channels. If you were being told that you have a limited amount of time to live, how would you spend the rest of your life? Would you be chasing after the same thing? Would they still hold the same meaning? So this is the Virgo in a high vibration, the hero's journey, the learning and adjusting, the discernment. Like, let's just look at our lives, not just collectively, because, there are other forces in place. And like I said, the only person's life you can change is your own. You cannot change anybody else's life, because everybody is their own soul incarnate, having their own experience, and they are in control of that. Yes, people can suppress other people for a certain period of time, but majority of the time it's with the permission of the person. Because we have a free will. And even the dark forces, the shadow player, the opposite roles, they have to take it into consideration, which is why we usually have to sign up on a dotted line that we given a permission for something, right? So again, you can see how these things are just opening up, becoming so vast, but trying to make it simple. What is it in your life that is not what you want it to be, and how can you change it, and why is it this way, and does it hold a meaning, right? So where did it come from? Where all this suffering that is in many cases created by unfulfilled need or expectation, where did it come from? Does it hold a meaning? And if I only had certain limited amount of time to live, and you can decide what it is, whether it's a week, month, year, doesn't matter. Even if it was a year, if somebody said, okay, this is the last year on earth, you have only 1 year to live, how are you going to spend it? Are you going to do exactly what you're doing? Are the same thing going to hold a meaning? Are we going to sweat the things we sweat in now? Or are we going to do something different? Maybe yes, maybe no. And then we can make a just adjustment, because this is the year of Saturn. This is the year of Capricorn. It's up to each and every single one of us to make to put the Capricorn hat on, take a responsibility and make a change, to redefine the lives we are experiencing at the moment. And if every single person will do that, the world will change. Yes, because when we look at the state of the world and we imagine like, okay, this is what I want to experience, this is the perfection of my illusion, and this is what is happening right now. It's such a huge gap between the two for most people. I mean, I don't think many people are looking at the state of the world and saying, yes, this is perfection, high five, even though again, we cannot go like, oh, it shouldn't exist. And be in resistance of what is, because if we are resisting it, it will persist, it will not change. So we like, okay, this is what it is, right? Don't like it, but this is what it is. There must be a learning in it. This must be certain purpose in it, because otherwise it wouldn't be here, this energy. Now how can we change it? Well, you cannot go and change the whole world, but you can go and change your life. So that which you want to be experiencing, that world that you want to create, that the world you want to manifest, what it would feel like, what it would look like, and can you start creating more of that in your everyday reality? And these are the things that really matter. These are the things which are not perfect, because nothing is perfect. So this is like, okay, well, what it would look like for you: more happiness, more joy, more peace, more love, more quiet, more stillness. What is it? And if we want to create this in the world, if we want our world to become this energy, we need to learn to experience that in our everyday life, because how else is it going to be manifested? It has to exist somewhere. So it has to exist in a small shape and form first. And then, like I said, if enough people do that, and enough people agree that, okay, we all want to experience peace, and every day I'm going to make decisions and adjustments in my life that allow me to feel more peace, then eventually the world will change. It will not happen tomorrow, because it's a step-by-step process. With Virgo, it's all about step-by-step process. It's all about practical application, right? That's Virgo. It's very practical and it's mutable. It continuously changes, because the more we grow and evolve, the more our life changes, because we have a different information, different perception. Everything is shifting. So with this Virgo archetype, this Virgo full moon, and everything that very likely has been showing up for you in your life this week, and we might have been also experiencing in a microcosm, but again, you cannot live other people's life. You cannot change other people's life. You cannot change the world. You can only change your own life. So how would you like to change it? What would you like to experience more of? If something doesn't work, how can we, adjust it or let it go, to create space for something new? And this is for every single one of us. This is for me included. Like I said, the situation I'm experiencing in my life, the things that are popping up in my awareness, that are saying that, okay, well, here is the situation. Do you like this situation? Does it hold a meaning? Do you want to take it with you into the next astrological year and these new cycles that we are just seeding and entering into right now as we speak, or not? And I'm the one to decide. You are the one to decide. Nobody's going to make the decision or make the change for you. You are the one that has to decide what it is and what it will look like. And it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be trial and error, because we are starting something new, something different. If we are going to create a world which is very different from the previous one, which, like I said, we see the totality of right now, manifestation of everything that came before is right there, right now. And if we want something different, then we need to be courageous and brave to make mistakes, because we're not going to get it right the first time. And the perfect is going to keep evolving with us, just like the relationship did, just like the haircut did. It outgrown, just like your child has grown up. It's not the same it was when it was born, right? So this is what I mean. So I feel this is the deeper message of Virgo. It's about, let's see how we perceive Virgo coming to this point, like Virgo archetype about perfection and has to be just so, and this is the expectation, this is the tick box, this is the 5-year plan, 10-year plan, this is the failing of the societal standards, whatever it is. And then like, okay, well, if it's all just about learning and about hero's journey, and there is no actually the top game, there is not the peak of the mountain, this top notch, top spot. It's a spiral. It's always growing and moving and evolving. Perfection doesn't exist, because it's always changing. That which we perceive as perfect is always changing, right? So if we know that now, if we understand then that, how can we create a little bit more happiness and joy in everyday life, or peace or love or whatever it is, quiet, stillness, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is, whatever it is for you. And this is where we can make adjustments. We can forgive the old versions of ourselves, the old versions of this world that help us to understand what we know now, and let it go, release it, let it go, to create space for something else. Because that's another thing with the forgiveness. Like, if we hold in a grudge against something or someone, it's burning us inside, it's killing us inside, it's gonna manifest as illness, because it's a low vibrational energy, and it wants release, it wants to be released, it wants healing. We need to let it go, we need to be able to let the life flow, because otherwise it's a suppressed energy, whatever it is. It's like, you can see even in relationship, if you try to hold on too tightly and control it and manipulate it, it's just going to die. It's like with the butterflies, right? Like, you cannot, like, if you chase after it, it's gonna fly away. You need to let it fly and come to you. That's like that's like with life. Sometimes we're just trying too hard. We're being too hard on ourselves, and maybe we just need to let it go. That desire for perfection, that striving for achievement of something, which is it even what I want? So this is the question. So anyway, guys, again, you see, the more I talk, the more I can keep talking. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, because again, super long video, they're getting longer and longer. It's ridiculous. So I'm just gonna read this message, and I'm going to close it at that. So this is what I got prior to recording. So what do my guides want me to share today? This is what we start with. Perfection, the goal of so many, which is completely unobtainable and humanly impossible. What really is perfection? Most don't even know. There's a certain expectation and a standard decided by another, projected out there and collectively agreed upon to be fulfilled. Lots of suffering stems from the desire to be and achieve perfection. Your Virgo full moon is illuminating the impossibility of this task. It's time to release it and give yourself a permission to be perfectly imperfect, because that's what you all are. Unique in your own essence and perfectly imperfect, beautiful human souls. There are not two exactly the same ones. That is the perfection of divine creation. It's true. It's time. It's not true. It's time to let yourself off the hook and start making adjustments to that way of thinking. Life is too short to be chasing perfection. It's time to start living, to start enjoying and dedicating it to that which truly matters to you, whatever that might be. Ask your heart. If you don't know, it will give you the answer. This lunation is powerful. It's highlighting that which needs to change. What have you learned about life until this point of your journey? You each had plenty of practical experiences and applications of those to be able to discern what works and what no longer does in your own life and on the collective stage. Well, it's time to make adjustments. The opportunity is ripe, the possibilities are endless. You are creating a brand new history, a brand new world at the tail of the old one. This is the last full moon of the past astrological year and all that came before. It's showing you with its grounded practical essence what is it that now lost its meaning and needs to be changed and upgraded. This Aquarian energy is all about innovation. It does not mean everything is dysfunctional and useless. It just means a discernment is needed and action will need to be taken to change what needs changing, because the manifestation of the past choices is making things very clear and obvious by this point. And this is not about guilting and shaming. This is about awareness and ability to hold compassion and forgiveness and willingness to release and let go of what no longer needs to take space in your lives. Here's where the attachment to the desire for perfection might be causing a havoc. Always trying to make the right choice, always want it to be right and for everything to be just so perfect, right? No, This is not how life works. Everything has its meaning and purpose. That's the perfection factor of things. However, the ego doesn't perceive them as such because of the three-dimensional linear way of thinking. When things make no sense to ego, then they must be wrong. Well, not necessarily. If there was no need for that which is being labeled and judged as such, it wouldn't exist. So here comes the concept of meaning, which leads to the concepts of compassion and forgiveness. All of those open a door to healing, release, letting go, and closure of a cycle or experience, which allows for a new one to begin. And this is where you are at, being faced with a full illumination of everything. It's all out there in a bright daylight. So what do we do with that, you ask? It feels too much, it's too vast and overwhelming, and this is where Virgo does a good work. You simplify, prioritize, discern, and focus on that which is the most important point of focus right now. It's a step-by-step process. Life unveils itself in a step-by-step manner. Nobody knows at the beginning of their journey where exactly the journey will lead or how exactly it will end. What would be the fun in that? That would be a boring experience for the soul, like watching a movie and knowing all about it up front. The question is, where are you right now? And knowing what you know at this present moment, where do you want to go from here? What are the small steps that you can take to get closer to where you wish to be? What adjustments will it require? Remember, this is not about perfection or about having all the answers and detailed plan in order to execute the project. This is about the journey, about the desire, hope, courage, and willingness to try. If something doesn't work, change it. You might not get it right the first time, but eventually you'll discover something that will work better for you and provide you with a lot of experience, practice, and wisdom along the way. That's the new way of looking at your journey, the hero's journey, because that's what you all are, the heroes and heroines of your own story called your life. It was never meant to be or going to be perfect. It was meant to be yours, your own creation. So get behind the wheel of your life and start creating consciously. Adjust what needs adjusting and have a courage to try something new, because by this point of illumination you understand what doesn't work for you anymore. It's time to start living. You were not born to be surviving or be asleep behind the wheel. It's your life, so live it. So again, what it is that you want to experience? Where do you want to go from here? Think about it, feel into it, and start walking. It's one step at a time process. You are loved, you are supported, dear human souls. Always. That's it. It's 1:11. It's 1:11, so let's call it a day. The longest video so far. I'm breaking my own records. I will try to make that one tomorrow much shorter. So I wish you all a beautiful Virgo full moon. It's illuminating things, so this is an opportunity for balance and integration and adjustments. And I'll speak to you again tomorrow. Much love, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and bye for now.